Man, if Joshua has 30 throws today and 29 of them are good, it stinks that that's the one bad one.
Welcome back to another Valley Sports Plug Arizona Cardinals recap for Week 6 of the 2023 NFL season. The banged-up Redbirds left the nest for California to take on the Los Angeles Rams in SoFi Stadium Sunday. Still no Kyler Murray, no Budda Baker, and no James Conner in this one, and oh boy did it show. It was without a doubt a tale of two halves. But let's go ahead and take a quick look at how the scoring broke down. The first half belonged to the kickers. Matt Prater had 3 field goals for the Cardinals, including a monster 55-yarder in the first quarter. Brett Maher for the Rams kicked in 2 field goals himself, and the score was 9-6, Cardinals leading at the half. Important to note, it very easily could have been 15-6 Cardinals at this point, but we'll get into that later. The second half was all Rams, as the Cardinals wouldn't be able to score again in this one. Cooper Kupp hauled in a 13-yard touchdown pass from Matt Stafford early in the third quarter, and that set the tone for the half, giving the Rams their first lead 9-13. Brett Maher knocked in another pair of field goals in the half, and Karen Williams capped off a 12-play drive with a 5-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter. With no answer for the Rams offense in this one, the Cardinals take another L. The final score 9-26 Rams, and the Cards fall to 1-5 on the season, now 0-3 in the division. But we got to know what these guys saw out there. So let's pass it over to Michael Benjamin for his thoughts on Week 6.
All right. We had to marinate on this one a bit longer than usual. We're about a third of the way through the season, so we really have the full picture now. You guys, I've been seeing some people on Reddit, Facebook, basically all over social media saying they're tired of people saying this team doesn't have enough talent. They say we have the talent, we're just making mistakes. Well, here's my answer to that. Is this your first time watching the game of football at all? I mean, there are limitations with this team. Joshua Dobbs, the running back room, et cetera, right? The defensive line is overmatched week in, week out. The offensive line, which is the most whole unit on this team right now, struggled mightily once again. As far as this game, Cooper Kupp, he hasn't missed a beat. Kyren Williams had 4 rushing yards at halftime and finishes with 158. I mean, the moral of the story is exactly like Chris said. It's the tale of two halves again. We are the worst fourth quarter team in the NFL. We have been outscored 64-7 this season. I like to think we don't stick to biases here at VSP. We are realists. This team is not ready to compete, and that's okay. We knew this, right? Not only are we in the midst of changing the entire culture around this organization, we also have to rebuild this roster as well, and that takes time. You're also missing key pieces of the offense with Murray and Conner, and the defense with Budda and Thompson, but we can't use that as an excuse. We know that. The big story of the first couple of weeks was this competitive spirit keeping us moving forward, but the talent drain is just too much to overcome this year. And that's where we stand through Week 6. So those are my thoughts from this one. So I'll pass it over to Tallman so he can let us know what he saw from Sunday.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, like you said, it's another game where we don't show up in the second half. Unbelievable. He only scored 7 points in 6 games in the fourth quarter. This one was hard to watch, very hard to watch, especially when it's another time the Cardinals have the lead at the halftime. It's 9-6 at half. Very ugly first half of football, in my opinion. Guys, just the red zone offense was awful. I mean, we had to settle for those field goals, the 3 of them. We had one where Dobbs was sacked so bad he got knocked out of field goal range. And man, let's focus on Dobbs. There's a couple of those red zone drives where Dobbs comes out and he's just trying to throw the ball downfield and he just has no accuracy. He's got no touch. I mean, let's jump to the second half with his read when he chose to throw the ball to Zach Ertz, and it was 2 feet behind him, and Ertz tipped it up and it got intercepted. That took all the wind out of their sail. Let's talk about the 4th and 5 play. It's 4th down. You need 5 yards. You're at the Rams 40-yard line. And at first I was like, what the hell are you doing throwing the ball 25 yards downfield to Marquise Brown? But Marquise Brown had a couple steps on the defender. He was open. If Josh Dobbs makes that throw, if he drops it right in there for Marquise, that's 6 points for us. But he did not do that. And he just continues to show that his downfield accuracy, his deep ball is just totally off. On that 4th and 5 play, he throws it out of bounds, and it wasn't even catchable for anybody. So that's how I feel about Josh Dobbs. We're sitting here. We had a little bit of hype. We're like, is Dobbs the guy? Can he get the job done? But he's showing you that he's just like a backup quarterback. We saw this kind of with McCoy. McCoy comes in for his 1-2 game starts, and you're like, damn, he can get the job done. We win a couple games, but then they figure him out, and he's just not talented enough. He's not talented enough like some of the other positions on this football team, and he just can't get the job done. The interception was awful. We saw him get another fumble later in the game that just sealed the deal. And I don't know. It's right now it seems like Dobbs is the perfect starter for a team that needs to go 2-15 to finish the season. So I just couldn't get over that. But on a positive note, and what I want to see more out of him is he needs to use his legs some more. He ripped off that one scramble where he picked up the first down, and he did a nasty cut right on the sideline and cut back into the middle of the field. And I mean, he shows that you can run, right? And people aren't expecting that. So he needs to throw less down the field, use his feet some more. And God, are we missing James Conner right now? Because this team needs to run the football first and think about Dobbs throwing later. Because this pass first approach to him just winging it, it's not working out for these guys if we're really going to win football games on Sunday.
Yeah, guys, it's hard to disagree, and there's really not much left to be said that hasn't already been said, but I'll just kind of double down, I think, on some of your points. Tallman, you're saying with Dobbs is absolutely right. He's getting scouted. They're starting to figure him out, and it's showing because he's not making the right reads. He's not getting away with the plays that he was able to get away with through the first 5 games in this one. It's tough, and you're right. We do need to keep pounding it on the ground, but with James Conner out, you're stuck with Amani DiMarcado and Keontae Ingram, and they're just not able to have the same production as a James Conner does out there. And it's easy to make excuses with the injuries, and they are starting to pile up. And honestly, when it comes to Dobbs, guys, I never thought I'd be saying this, but we really need Kyler Murray back right now. It's gotten to that point where we might have to start knocking on that door. It seems like he's ready. Mike, he's chomping at the bit to get back out there. I know this team, like Mike said, is not ready to compete, not ready to make a run or be a playoff contender this season, but building that culture, getting that mentality of success and competing in these games is where it starts. And that starts this season, especially if we want to accelerate this rebuild, if you want to call it that, and get this team competitive sooner rather than later. The last thing I'll say is my biggest gripe was some of the play calling throughout this game, especially in the first half. I get wanting to be aggressive. I know John Gannon and his staff know what they have to work with and understand the position they're in. But there were 2 times where they went for it on 4th down in the enemy side of the field where they could have gone for a field goal. Like I said, could have been 15-6 at halftime. Obviously wouldn't have made a difference with the final score being the way it was and our lack of offense in the second half. But you got to give your team a chance. Sometimes you just got to take the points. And I was a little bit disappointed in that personally. But as you guys might have noticed, no player of the recap in this one as there weren't too many bright spots for the Cardinals. But I had to shout out Tallman's boy, Michael Wilson, who had 3 receptions for 62 yards. So maybe a sliver of hope from the rookie there. But guys, we'll just have to see what we can do next week in week 7 as the Arizona Cardinals will travel up to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Kickoff at 1:25 p.m. Arizona time. And we're going to keep bringing you a recap of every single Cardinals game, win, lose, or tie this season. So make sure you subscribe right here on YouTube and set those notifications so you can stay up to date with all of the Valley Sports and Arizona Cardinals action. For Michael Benjamin and VSP Tallman, I'm Chris Patrick, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Cardinals fans, it's time to stand in